So let's go ahead and create a PowerPoint presentation from scratch. So here I am in Microsoft 365 Copilot. I'm going to click on presentation. I could click on PowerPoint. I could click on create, but let's just click on presentation. This will bring up the screen with the presentation. In this case, it's blank. I want to click on the Copilot icon here, and you can create a presentation about whatever from a file, add a slide, ask Copilot. We're going to click on create a presentation about. And what we're going to create our presentation about in this case is games and gamification for training in a corporate setting. Once we've typed that in, we just click on this arrow right here, the send arrow, and that's going to go ahead and generate an outline and topics for our presentation. Now, PowerPoint Copilot typically does slides about 20, I find 23, sometimes 19. I've never seen the maximum of 40, but it will create all my slides for me, give me the outline, and I hit click here on generate slides and it's going to go ahead and generate actual slides. Not only is it going to generate actual slides, but it's going to generate artwork to go with those slides. And one thing that I really like, it's also going to generate notes. So let's take a look. Okay, now we are all done with the generation, which is awesome. If I like it, I just click on keep it. We're going to do that for now. And here are all my slides as you can see them. What I'm going to do here is I always like to have, for my view, I like to have the normal view. So here it is. And I also, as I said before, like the notes feature. So we'll click on notes and we can see here that PowerPoint has generated notes for each one of my slides. Kind of a nice feature. So let's go back to home and see some other things that we can do with this 365 Microsoft PowerPoint. Okay, now that we have our slides, we can do a number of different things. So one, we can hit Copilot right here, and Copilot is going to ask me some questions. And I might say, after I've looked through all these slides, oh, these look good. Maybe I'll say, add. I want to add some slides. So let's add a request to Copilot. Add 5 slides to build a business case for using games for learning in a leadership program. And I click on send, and it's going to go out and generate 5 slides on that topic. The Copilot on the right-hand side here is really great for asking questions. Look here, we have our 5 slides that it added. Kind of nice on leadership. The other thing that we can do is we can say, where in this deck do I need more details? And it's going to go ahead and go out through the entire deck and find details that need to be added. Now, the details won't be changed directly on the slide, but it'll give me this information, understanding gamification, that slide titled that, could benefit from more detail, and it references the slides. So in this case, it went, slide by slide and gave me the information of where it needs more detail. So that's kind of a nice feature that allows me to do that, showing the slides that require more detail. And then I can go to each of those individual slides. I can combine Copilot with Designer, which I think is really nice. So if I click here on the little Designer icon, this is going to give me different looks for each of my slides. So here's my intro slide, and here's all the options that Designer is giving me. So I like this slide, and so it changes it to that particular slide. If I go to my next slide, it's going to give me options as well. I like this little red guy here. So I click on that and it will allow me to change every single slide that I have. So it's pretty nice functionality for designing slides. Again, I started from scratch and now I have well-designed slides along with notes. Now, another thing that it will let me do, which I think is pretty nice, is it can generate images. So if I come here and I might say, generate an image of folks playing a card game, I hit send, and it's going to actually generate an image for me. So without having to leave PowerPoint and go into ChatGPT or some other area, I can actually design the look and feel of a slide right in Copilot, which is a really nice feature. So I'm going to let this develop, and then we're going to go ahead and insert that slide into our slide deck. And here we go. So I might like that one. Yeah, that's kind of good. And I'm going to click on insert. It's going to throw it into the deck. There it is. Maybe I'll delete this and I will shrink this image here, maybe play with it a little bit, and I can do that. And then look what happens here. So now I have that image in my slide. I click on, but it's now giving me options for the image that I added. I think this looks a lot better than what I did. And there it is. Now, here's another thing that Copilot can do. As we have a slide, if we just wanted to add one slide rather than 5 slides as we did before, we can simply click on this icon, New Slide with Copilot, click on that, and it's going to ask me what slide I want to add and say, maybe I say the value of card games for learning. And here we go. And I'm going to go ahead and click on the send, and it's going to go out and generate a slide for me. So if you go through a deck that you already have and you're like, hey, I just need to add one slide, what slide should it be? And I need some information. And here you go. It just added the value of educational card games. And then, of course, I might want to keep it at, and I can make any changes that I want, change skills to ability, or change whatever I need to do with my slides. As you can see, Copilot gives you lots of different options from coming here for Copilot and asking questions. You can even say summarize this deck, and it will give you a summary of the entire deck. You can even, I also like, ask about the key points. So here's a summary of the deck, and it's going to go through in quite detail, give me a summarization of everything that I have in there. And so you can see it's going right through there, and it tells me it's almost there. And it gives me references for the slides, which I think is kind of a nice feature. So I can click on, for example, slide 17 or 17 there, and it goes right to my reference 17, slide 25. It goes to that. Here's slide 15, reference 9, and it will take me very quickly through my slide deck for anything that I need to see or look at. It can also, that was what are the key points? So if I created a deck and I wanted to see the key points, I could go ahead and see the key points that are there as well. And that can be very helpful as again, you're looking through a deck and you want to find out like, what should I really emphasize? What does appear to be the key points here? Now, obviously, if they don't agree, you would need to change them to whatever your key points are, but it gives you a lot of really good information to do that. So you can summarize, you can grab key points. Now, one other thing that can happen, and we didn't talk about this, but well, we did a little bit. PowerPoint actually, when it creates a Copilot, adds animations. So if you wanted to check out your animations, you can click here, click on animations, click on animation pane, and you can see actually where Copilot added the animations. And so if you wanted to change those or modify them, you could do just like you would with any other animation. But it's kind of nice that Copilot puts animations in there for you. So if we looked at the presentation of all the things we added and the animations, you can see as I click through, it will do animations for me in my slide deck. It has areas to designate different elements. Here was the slide that I added in terms of the image. Here was the slide that I asked for an extra slide. Then you can go through that whole process and it will show you your entire presentation, and it has in animations, and as we said before, also has notes. Now, it's one thing to create a presentation from scratch, but wouldn't it be great if you could create an interactive gamified presentation from scratch? Well, Copilot allows you to do that. Let's see how. So here I am in Copilot, and I'm going to create a creation about. And so what I want to do is I'm clicking on the Copilot again, creating presentation about, and I'm going to see if it can create a game-based presentation on the topic of leadership. Okay, let's see what it can do. So interestingly, it created this presentation, and it actually created it as a game-based presentation. If I check out my notes here, I always like to look at my notes. It says focuses on game-based. We're going to explore different concepts, and it's going to start with an introduction, definition of leadership, importance of leadership, and then it gives me these interactive scenarios. And here it says, in this scenario, participants will face a time-sensitive decision that requires quick thinking and sound judgment. They have to weigh the pros and cons of each of those options of the solution. So here, not only is it creating a presentation for me, but it's actually making it game-based, adding some interactivity, which I think is really interesting from a Copilot perspective. It adds that element for you and allows you then to build off of that. So here is the quick presentation that we did about Microsoft Copilot and all of the different functions that it has, quite a lot, and how it can help us create a presentation absolutely from scratch. And if you'd like to bring this presentation or training on Microsoft Copilot into your organization, reach out to me directly and we can make a customized workshop for your employees to become more effective, more efficient, and better with Microsoft Copilot.